Hi, this is I'll Explain. This time I'll explain the Gundam GP01 Zephyranthes. Gundam GP01, model number RX-78GP01, is a concept flagship mobile suit developed by Anaheim Electronics as entry to the Federation's call for new mobile suits. GP stands for Gundam Development Project, where Anaheim Electronics would develop Gundam, the legendary mobile suit that won the one-year war for the Federation, with a lot of asterisks that Anaheim tried to sell to the Federation force, if not impressed them enough to win contracts to develop more. The GP01 was the first model. There were few factors that drove Anaheim Electronics to take initiative. First was that they were well connected with the Federation, the Force, the Department of Defense, other parts of the Chamber, and the House. So Anaheim knew what the Federation wanted and were in a good position to win these contracts. Second was that mobile suit development and production was still a relatively new industry, where Anaheim Electronics can grow unlike other traditional industries. In fact, mobile suit could and would outcompete traditional industrial vehicles. Last but certainly not least was that Anaheim Electronics needed to compete with Federation arsenals. Sure, they were well connected with Federation government, but they are not Federation government itself, whereas the Federation arsenals are. So they need to take initiative before those new contracts were swept away from tendering. The Federation force was also seeking collaboration with private sector in order to conserve the low post-war budget that they were working with. Despite the Federation already adopted Xeon mobile suits to boost their numbers and started to re-standardize the RGM series to simplify and lower the cost of maintenance. The government, both House and Chamber, still needed to redirect more defense budget into reconstruction projects in order to recoup wartime spending, return people to their homes, and regain control over space colonization. Federation needed to focus their budget in rebuilding the Earth's circle. The Federation force could not oppose these reconstruction projects either, since they were perfect for discharged soldiers to go and keep people fed, making them less likely to rebel or join Xeon remnants, reducing some major headaches. The Federation force was also undergoing some good old-fashioned restructuring called the Federation Force Reconstruction Project due to internal and external political machinations. Gone are the days being split into Army, Air Force, Navy, and Space Force, but a single armed force managing operation units assigned to all theaters. However, since most arms and equipment were still being produced and provided by Federation arsenals, that meant they had a lot of influence towards nearby operation units and in turn leverage in the High Command. This did not sit well with the Department of Defense side of the High Command, and would like to use the collaboration with Anaheim Electronics as counterbalance. In addition, the Federation force understood they won the one-year war with logistic superiority, and that they were still a decade behind in fundamental mobile suit research compared to Xeon. So in order to minimize political interference from using Xeon technology and technical personnel for mobile suit development, it is necessary to outsource most forward-reaching projects like the development of the flagship mobile suit for the reconstructed Federation force, and Anaheim, as business savvy as always, knew the exact keyword for this: Gundam. Gundam GP01 is not actually the first Gundam Anaheim developed with the Gundam Development Project, but it is the first being approved by the Federation force. GP01 would be a direct successor to the original RX-78, a general-purpose mobile suit with excellent close-range capabilities while remaining relatively effective at mid or even long ranges. GP01 would reintroduce the core fighter system in order to capitalize on the core block system's ability to hot swap upper and lower body to adapt for different mission requirements. GP01 would also have an internal frame for the entire mobile suit, instead just of the torso for the core block system like the original RX-78. This was done to save time and in turn cost for swapping armor pieces and mechanical parts, since Anaheim was trying to grow their own mobile suit manufacturing capability as well, so they had heavy incentive to develop their own armor and parts that they could sell even if GP01 fell through. The internal frame used by GP01 is called Flexible Frame, developed by Anaheim Electronics with the first Gundam developed by Gundam Development Project, Gundam GP00, and we'll save its explanation with one in hand. The flexible frame is so named due to the frame having adjustable elements, allowing Anaheim to adjust the size and proportion of different parts of the mobile suit based on the same frame. This allows Anaheim to make small adjustments to optimize the design of a mobile suit designed rapidly, or development mobile suits with vastly different proportion and size on a single frame. Once the mobile suit's proportions have been thoroughly tested and finalized, they can replace it with a rigid frame to reduce its weight and improve durability. Thanks to the flexible frame, along with magnetic coating applied on its field motors, the GP01 has even wider range and more human-like movement compared to the original RX-78s. GP01 also features optical computer and machine learning AI like the original RX-78. While some records suggest GP01 to be a ground-type mobile suit in this base form, it is decidedly not so, especially when you compare it to many RX-78 and RX-79 ground-type Gundams. The only reason that GP01 did so poorly in its one-space engagement was because it was never tested in space, so the AI have yet to learn how to manage GP01's many subsystems in space, let alone optimized for it. There are even more improvements GP01 has over the original RX-78. Let's take a closer look starting from the head. GP01 has a very RX-78-like head design, with a V-shaped antenna, a pair of Vulcans, and twin eyes. However, these design elements are heavily insisted upon by the Federation force. For starters, the GP01 team had determined the optimal and cost-effective optical arrangement would be a mono-eye with support like a sensor matrix like GM Command and many GM custom types. But that would not look like a Gundam and almost cost Anaheim the contract. The GP01 team did not plan to have a pair of 16mm Vulcans either. They consider larger caliber 90mm Gatling gun are more effective against mobile suits, while smaller caliber like 25mm are effective against missiles and aircraft, from various Gundam combat records. And since those machine guns are mounted mostly on other parts of the Gundam's body, the GP01 team feels confident that they can ditch the head Vulcans and use those internal volumes for the head and more powerful sensors, fire control modules, and communication device. However, the Federation pulled out the combat record of all mobile suits during the 1-year war and concluded that these 16mm Vulcans on the head are effective weapons. That's why GP01's head Vulcans are partially sticking out like an external module, because it is very much one. So by the time when GP01 team built the antenna, it is in the same V-shape as the original RX-78. It is also a lot larger because GP01 team had to fit in antenna arrays that were not designed to be arranged in a V-shape. However, the GP01 team was surprised to find the enlarged V-shaped antennas arrangement exceeded the performance of their original design. But that did not stop them from retaining some of their own design, like this auxiliary antenna on the side of the top optic. GP01's torso looks very much like late one-year war variants of RX-78, despite those Gundam having no core fighter. GP01 adopted this design for increased internal volume, and instead of having the core fighter docking vertically inside the torso, the core fighter would dock horizontally in the GP01's chest. The core fighter's cockpit folds down like the original RX-78, but the jet fans now are in line with the core fighters, improving circulation of air and coolant. This also means GP01's waist has more space to fit in auxiliary generators, as well as thicker armor. GP01's skirt is a very big tell that it is not a ground-type mobile suit. The GP01 has these minimalist front skirts because the development team want to minimize their interference with GP01's legs. The side skirts are fitted with thrusters instead of multi-purpose latch. This is one of the few direct Xeon influence can be seen on the GP01. GP01's legs are very RX-78-like, although they are now built on the flexible frame, giving it improved structural and weight-bearing capabilities. The leg's main thrusters have been relocated from the back of the calves to the bottom of GP01's feet, inside of the ankle, enabled by the use of the internal frame. This design saves the need of booster thrusters on the bottom of the feet and reduces the likelihood of ingress, improving their reliability. The calves now have more room for propellant storage and space for vector thrusters to further improve GP01's agility. GP01's knees and foot has data collection modules inside for recording data like speed, acceleration, shock, and stress during testing. These modules can be replaced with weapon modules, power condensers, or even auxiliary generators. GP01's backpack is formed by the back half of GP01's core fighter and an armored shell. The armored shell is where the optical sensor and extra transceiver is mounted, but the beam saber holsters and the thrusters are all part of GP01's core fighter. The GP01's core fighter is much larger than the original RX-78s, having a similar layout to the core booster, with a second pair of Minovsky reactor coupled with nuclear thermal rocket jets attached to its back. This second pair of reactors and rocket jets becomes the GP01's backpack thrusters and auxiliary generators for recharging GP01's beam weapons. This design connects the torso directly to the backpack like a regular mobile suit, giving GP01 the same space efficiency and shave some weight off the core block system. This also means the GP01's core fighter's nuclear thermal rocket jets wouldn't become dead weight while docking inside GP01. GP01's standard loadout includes a pair of 60mm Vulcans on the head, a pair of beam sabers holstered on its backpack, a shield, a beam rifle. This G-frame also includes some optional weapons like the long beam rifle and a lighter mm machine gun. The 60mm Vulcans are a new model designed by Anaheim to meet Federation's demands, and it is a module that can be easily replaced later for Anaheim's own development or specific orders. The 90mm machine gun is a standard Federation weapon, used to test GP01's compatibility with Federation mobile suit armaments in service. GP01's beam sabers are further developed from the standard Federation ones, with improved output and ECAP size to capitalize on all the extra power from GP01's improved power system. In addition, the beam saber's I-field generator, the device that retains the shape of the beam blade, have been upgraded and can be used to shoot the beam blade out like a beam gun. The beam gun function is designed to be the main weapon of GP01's core fighter, but that does not stop GP01 from using it from its backpack or in hand. The shield and beam rifle are developed alongside GP01, but we will save them for GP01 full burning. That left us with the long beam rifle, which is supposed to be assigned to GP01FB, but is packaged with GP01 in this G-frame set. The long beam rifle is built from GP01's beam rifle. That's why it has the same stock and receiver. The foregrip is replaced with a long-range multi-spectrum sensor. Side grips are added instead, and they are supposed to be foldable but presented as fixed like most G-frame. The barrel is replaced with a long barrel, as its name suggests. The long beam rifle is a long-range weapon, designed for other Gundams in the Gundam development project. But since the GP01 has already begun its field trial, Anaheim figured they could have GP01 to test it in the field sooner rather than later. The long beam rifle is not a sniper version of the GP01's beam rifle, but a beam launcher, projecting a larger volume of beam bolts for increased terminal effect. This is why it has a long-range multi-spectrum sensor under the barrel, because it is supposed to be far from the hip, with the long-range sensor finding traces of the target before the Gundam locks on with its own optics. While GP01 isn't designed for long-range combat, being forced to use the traditional RX-78G means GP01's targeting system is completely capable. The long beam rifle shares the same removable E-cap as GP01's beam rifle, but the number of shots are reduced because each shot uses a larger portion of the pre-compressed Minovsky particles in the E-cap. Moreover, since the long beam rifle uses a longer barrel to accelerate the beam bolt, it does require more energy for GP01 to operate, meaning the practical range of fire is reduced compared to the standard beam rifle. Only one GP01 is known to be built by Anaheim Electronics, although several core fighters were built in anticipation for testing different upper and lower bodies for GP01. In the fall of UC0083, GP01 was transported from Von Buren on the Moon to Tarrington Base in Australia by Albion, a newly built Pegasus-class assault carrier. The field test there was cut short when the Dallas Fleet, a Zeon remnant faction, had infiltrated Tarrington and stole Gundam GP02 that was also carried from Von Buren by Albion. GP01 and Albion have given chase to Africa, and proved to be very capable in dispatching Zeon mobile suits during many of latter's ambushes, despite its pilot having no real combat experience prior. Dallas Fleet operators managed to launch GP02 into space from Africa, and so GP01 went to space with Albion. However, Dallas Fleet have planned another ambush in their escape route in space. This is the time where GP01 was deployed in space. Like we have mentioned, its AI had no idea how to fight in space and was slowly immobilized by the ambushes, but eventually saved by reinforcements. The damaged GP01 was carried by Albion to Von Buren, where it was repaired and converted into GP01 full burning. We will talk about GP01's legacy when we talk about GP01 full burning. So tune in next time after another RX Explore, where I will explain the GP01 full burning. Thank you for watching.